The parable of the eagle and rabbit. The kingdom of heaven is like. Once upon a time, as Eagle was flying over the forest, he saw a baby rabbit in its nest, but its mother was nowhere to be found. After searching for the mother, Eagle decided to take the baby rabbit to his own nest and raise him. During this time, Eagle taught Rabbit all about life. He also explained that in the future, the rain would come more and more, and eventually there would be a great flood that would drown all the animals of the forest, except those who had reached the top of the mountain far to the east. Finally, the time came for Rabbit to leave Eagle's nest and take his place on the ground with all the other forest animals. So Eagle gently carried him to the ground and promised to come and see him often. He also told him that any time he wanted Eagle, all he had to do is call out, "Eagle, Eagle, Eagle," and he would come right away. Rabbit soon met all the other forest animals and made many friends. All the animals were continually traveling east because most all of them believed that the rains would get longer and longer and eventually create a great flood. None of them had ever seen the great mountain in the east, but they believed it was there and hoped to find it and climb it before the great flood came. Rabbit learned that all the animals knew Eagle, although some of them knew him much better than others. He also learned that Eagle had an enemy. The enemy was Owl. Owl never had anything good to say about Eagle, but he was also very deceptive. Whenever anything bad happened, Owl would say it was because of Eagle. Sometimes when the animals got tired of the rain, Owl would say that it was just Eagle's idea to make life hard for them, and he would encourage them to just try harder. He would try to convince them that Eagle was causing the rain. The most deceptive thing Owl did was that sometimes he would disguise himself as Eagle and then do some horrible things. He would even kill some of the animals. Of course, the word would go around what had happened, and Eagle would be blamed. Even though Rabbit had only received love, care, and protection from Eagle, he wondered about the stories. He just couldn't believe that they were true, but some said they saw it with their own eyes. Finally, Rabbit started to avoid Eagle when he came. Sometimes he would hide until Eagle left. He started to distrust Eagle. It soon became obvious to Rabbit and all the other animals that it was raining more and more. The forest that had previously been so beautiful was now damp all the time. It wasn't as easy as it used to be to find food and shelter. Sometimes Rabbit went for several days without ever really getting dry. All of the animals started to be more serious about doing whatever they could to survive. Some were concentrating on getting to the mountain in the east, but it seemed that no matter how hard they tried, no one actually saw it. It was difficult to believe it was really there. All they really had was Eagle's word. What if he wasn't telling the truth? What if Owl's accusations were correct? As time went on, the streams were becoming rivers, the puddles were becoming ponds, and the ponds were becoming lakes. Sometimes the animals had to detour around large bodies of water to keep traveling east. Many felt like giving up. Rabbit rarely saw Eagle anymore. Eagle would sometimes come to see him, but usually Rabbit would hide. One day, after a particularly long detour around a swollen lake, Rabbit was so tired and discouraged he just sat and remembered the good days when he was young and always completely trusted Eagle. What happy memories! He called out, "Eagle, Eagle, Eagle," and the next thing he knew, Eagle was right there. "Oh, Eagle," he said, "I am so tired. I've been trying so hard, and I still can't see the mountain. Will you help me?" "Of course," Eagle said, "but you will have to completely trust me. You see, none of the animals will ever make it to the mountain unless they trust me and allow me to take them." "What do I need to do, Eagle?" Eagle showed Rabbit the strong stick. He showed him how he would hold the stick in his talons and how Rabbit could hold on to the stick. In that way, Eagle would be able to lift him high over the forest and even above the clouds to the high mountain in the east. It was a hard decision, but finally Rabbit said, "Okay, I will trust you." Rabbit took a firm hold of the stick, and Eagle started to fly. Up, up, up they went. Soon they were above the forest, and finally when they were above the clouds and the rain, the sunshine was beautiful. Suddenly Rabbit saw someone flying right beside him. It was Owl. "Why are you hanging on to the stick so tight?" he asked. "Let go of the stick and be free. Then you can go anywhere you want." "But if I let go, Eagle says I will die," Rabbit replied. "That's not true. You won't die," said Owl. "Look at me. I'm not hanging on to a stick, and I'm not dead. Eagle has tricked you. He's taking you to his place on the mountain where he will keep you for food. See, we are almost to the mountain already." Sure enough, when Rabbit looked ahead, he saw that the forest had given way to rocks, and the mountain was straight ahead. What to do? Rabbit remembered the rumors he had heard about Eagle. He looked at Owl flying so freely, and he decided to let go of the stick. When he did, he suddenly felt so free. "See, you didn't die," said Owl. "Now you can do anything you want." Rabbit felt wonderful, but he was a little afraid because Eagle had said he would die, and yet as he was floating through the sky, it felt wonderful. Suddenly Rabbit saw that he was hurtling toward the rocks. "Eagle, Eagle, Eagle, I'm sorry! Please save me!" he cried. Eagle had to make an instant decision. He knew there was only one way to save Rabbit, and he had to do it immediately. Eagle turned and went into a straight down dive. Rabbit already had a big head start, but Eagle was gaining speed and catching up. Closer and closer he came. Just a few feet above the rocks, Eagle passed Rabbit and crashed full speed into the rocks. Seconds later, Rabbit landed gently and unhurt in the pile of feathers that had been Eagle. As he looked around, he saw that he was on top of the great mountain in the east at the foot of a cross. He was safe from the flood. And his friends asked him, "What is the interpretation of your parable?" And he replied, "This is more of a fable than a parable. There are many concepts this fable is trying to graphically illustrate. The first is that no amount of effort will ever enable any of God's children, represented by Rabbit and his forest friends, to save themselves no matter how hard they try. The only way they can be saved is by totally trusting Eagle, who represents God, the Savior. Secondly, this fable tries to show that it is Satan, the enemy, represented by Owl, who is always trying to misrepresent God and trying to convince mankind to distrust him and believe Satan's lies. Finally, the most important lesson this fable illustrates is that when God's children do make mistakes and choose to act selfishly, God still has a plan to save them. He accepts the consequences of their sin and willingly and voluntarily gave his life so that those who believe in him will be saved. Landing at the foot of the cross is symbolic of Jesus' death, which was the result of Jesus accepting the natural consequences of man's sin, selfish choices, and actions. The fable is also trying to teach some things by not specifically mentioning them. First, although God is always available to help and assist mankind, it is only when humans realize their need and invite God that he comes. Never is humanity's freedom of choice coerced or taken away by God. However, Satan will use every method to coerce, deceive, distort, and besmirch God's character to make humans doubt or distrust him. God would never use these methods. Satan's promise of freedom to mankind by exercising his freedom to let go of God is really a choice for certain destruction. The point that the fable tries to make as clear as possible is that destruction is always the natural consequence of the choice, never a punishment at the hands of an angry or offended God. Of course, Satan is constantly promoting the idea that all of mankind must toe the line, or God will punish or even kill them, which is just one of Satan's lies. The fable is not trying to equate the flood in the fable with the biblical flood recorded in Genesis, but rather the flood in the fable represents the challenges of trying to live one's life without God, which, as time goes on, becomes more and more complicated and difficult. However, like the people in the biblical flood, if one chooses that course and does not choose to believe, trust, and fully rely on God, they will ultimately perish. Finally, the fable is not only talking about ultimate salvation, it also says that Rabbit, safe at the foot of the cross, was also safe from the flood. When we put our full belief, faith, trust, and confidence in Jesus and take Him at His word to always take care of us, it is not only in the ultimate sense that we are saved, but it is also right here and now in this life. Because we are living in a sinful world where selfishness is the dominant government and social system, we will certainly experience challenges and problems, but we can confidently trust our Heavenly Parent to see us safely through every issue.